Are you ready, Chairwoman?
Yes, I am.
You may begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today is April the 21st, 2020, and we are in our ERP committee meeting. I call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Wait one moment.
One moment.
Okay. Go
All
ahead.
right. Chairwoman Harris,
Present.
Vice Chairman Narducci. He's muted.
Narducci. Where is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Councilman
Hello.
Yep. Thank you.
I'm present.
Espinal here.
Councilwoman Castillo. Thank you. Councilman Espinal.
Here.
Thank you. You have 5 present. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Just before, is there any other council people in the conference that we not identified just yet? Please identify yourself. Okay. Before we get started,
Chairwoman, Councilwoman Kerwin is present.
welcome, Councilwoman Kerwin.
Hi.
Any other?
No, Chairwoman.
Okay, before we get started, it is the request of this committee that we ask the city solicitor, first of all, to identify yourself, and then tell us, is this a proper manner in which we can hold this meeting?
Yes, Mario Martone from the City Solicitor's Office. The governor has issued an executive order essentially relaxing the requirements for the Open Meetings Act. This has allowed meetings to take place via Zoom or via telephone, provided the meeting is properly noticed and that the public has access to it, as well as access to speak at the appropriate times. So this meeting has been convened appropriately, it's been noticed appropriately, and my understanding is that the public has been provided a number to call in, and they will be allowed to speak at the appropriate times.
Thank you so much, City Solicitor. Thank you. At this time, I would like to, Madam Clerk, identify yourself, please, for the record. I can't hear.
Sorry about that. This is Tina Mastriani. And Sherry Petronio.
Thank you. Could you please tell me whether our invited guest is present? We have quite a bit of people. Are they all here?
Yes, they are all here, Madam Chair.
Could you please read the first item into the agenda, please?
Yes, item number 1 is a communication from His Honor the Mayor dated March 13th, 2020, submitting the Community Development Block Grant Budget for program year 2020 and 2021. The following have been invited: Bonnie Nickerson, Director, Department of Planning and Development; Emily Friedman, Director, Division of Community Development, Department of Planning and Development, and we have 2 organizations invited to give presentations.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, I'm going to open up the floor for Emily and Bonnie, which prefer. Let's hear from Bonnie. I haven't heard from her in the last meeting. Bonnie Nicholas, to just give us any update or anything that she would like to share with us concerning the mayor's grant. The mayor's block grant that he has submitted to us, the budget.
I'm sorry, Bonnie was unable to attend, but I'm happy to give an update on her behalf.
Okay, thank you, Emily. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Good to see everyone. Good evening, Emily Friedman, Director of Housing and Community Development, here to join you again on behalf of the mayor's proposed CDBG budget. Thank you again for having me. Looking forward tonight to hearing from some great organizations that you have invited to present. Just as a reminder, our goal is to try to work collaboratively to get the proposed budget that's before you into a final form that meets our collective community development goals, so that we can incorporate that into a final consolidated plan, which we submit to HUD for review, approval, and funding. I want to say thank you to the council members. I've started to see project selections come in for ward funds, so thank you for your timely attention to that. As a reminder, I'm here to help if anyone has any questions as they select ward projects, or if you need any project recommendations. But otherwise, I'm here to join you this evening and take any questions the committee might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the committee have any questions for Emily? And those that's joining by the phone, you had enough time? Okay. If there's no questions for Emily, let's just move on with the organizations that's been invited tonight. So glad to hear from these organizations. Really great work. We're excited to hear their presentation. So let's start with the Capital City Community Center. And may I say that, Madam Clerk, have this been posted to the portal? Madam Clerk is not on, she's not off mute.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Madam Chair, they have been posted to the portal.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So these organizations' presentations have been posted to the portal, but right now we would start with Capital City Community Center to, first of all, give us a presentation about your organization, who you are, how long you've been around, and we'll allow the community, our committee to just, at this time, ask questions as well.
The first would be Susan Stephenson. Yeah.
Susan Stephenson.
Am I on? Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank
Hi.
you.
My name is Susan Stephenson, and I'm the Executive Director of Capital City Community Center. I did prepare a presentation that I sent along. I'm not sure if all of you have that.
We have it.
You do? Okay. So I can follow that as kind of an agenda for the presentation, but I'll start with just telling you a little bit about us. We are one of the original community centers which was set up by the city of Providence many, many years ago, and we have continued to operate since that time. We were actually incorporated in 1945. So this year is our 75th anniversary, and we were actually planning a nice event for that, which obviously may need to be postponed until our 76th anniversary. But we have operated in the Smith Hill area of Providence during that time. Originally, we were incorporated as the Smith Hill Girls Club, and later became the Smith Hill Community Center, and then around 2005 changed to Capital City Community Centers. Over the course of the years, we have been very fortunate to be funded through a couple of means with the City of Providence, both through a City Council grant and also through the Cdbg funds. So essentially now the Cdbg has been supporting some of the work that we do at the Smith Hill Early Childhood Learning Center and at our senior center. So if you give me a minute, I'm just going to switch to the presentation so I can see as I follow along. So we have several programs. As I mentioned, the two that are supported through Cdbg are Smith Hill Early Childhood Learning Center. That has located at 25 Danforth Street. It's right behind the Harry Kazarian School. We have 108 children that attend there between the ages of 3 to 5. It is at full capacity. We are a 5-star quality rated program, which we have been now for the past 3 years. We were one of the first 25 programs in the state to be evaluated by Bright Stars, and have since that time worked very hard and used some of our funds from Cdbg to actually improve our rating over the years. And we're very proud of the fact that we're now a 5-star. We also have run 5 state certified pre-K classrooms, which is a very rigorous program to be able to qualify for. We're open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And our key positions there, in addition to our teaching staff, our director, our education coordinator, program coordinator, and our therapeutic support staff. The Lillian Feinstein Senior Center is a second program. It's located at 1085 Chalkstone Avenue in Providence. We have about 40 seniors who regularly attend. We are a food site for Title C3. We serve both breakfast and lunch, which is catered in by Blackstone Catering. We run daily health and wellness activities along with recreational activities for the seniors. We are open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we are staffed by 2 people, one who is full-time, our program manager, and then a kitchen assistant who helps with the breakfast and lunch program. Our food pantry and casework services, these are not programs that we currently are using any Cdbg funds for, but the City Council does help support our food pantry, which is located at 285 Chad Brown Street and serves residents from all over 02908 zip code. We serve about 1,500 each year, which is about an average of about 400 a month. We're now open 5 days, or as of next Monday, we will be open 5 days a week to support families, particularly those affected by COVID-19. Up until just this week, we have been open 2 days a week for both individuals and families, but we did receive a COVID-19 grant from the Rhode Island Foundation, which is in United Way, which is allowing us to open 5 days a week and be able to expand significantly up through the end of this calendar year. So this program is supported through funds with City Council and also a State Senate grant. And then, as I just mentioned, enhanced by the Rhode Island Foundation. And the final program that we have is our volunteer income tax assistance program. We are still in the midst of that, even though we are now primarily preparing taxes through a drop-off site with the drop-off location is at Federal Hill, but our volunteers continue to pick up returns there and complete them. It is a free tax service for low-income families, and all of our preparers are trained through the IRS. We operate out of the Senior Center on Chalkstone Avenue between January and April of each calendar year. And obviously with this population, we specialize in earned income tax credits and childcare credits. We also, I just wanted to give you a little bit of our highlights from our program. The early childhood program is has been described by the Rhode Island Department of Ed as a model pre-K site. They often refer other agencies to us to kind of study how we did it, how we got to where we're at. As a matter of fact, the mayor's person who is supporting the pre-K effort in Providence has come out to our program to visit it, to learn a little bit more about it. And that was very pleasing that she was able to do that and had very good things to say about us. Also, for the past 8 years, we have supported children who have special needs. They are embedded in our classrooms. It is supported through a program that's funded through DHS, so we are certified with the state to provide this service and serve at least 15 children each year right within our classrooms. For this program, the Cdbg funds help support the staff that can really respond to a lot of the social needs of families that we have. Our director does a lot of work with families, our program assistant, and then we have some direct staff in our classrooms who help support kids who have some additional needs to reach out to the families and support them. Our goals for Cdbg is that the children in the early childhood program will show at least a full year of increase in cognitive language and social emotional skills. We measure that through a testing system called Teaching Strategies Gold. And I'm very pleased to report that over the last several years since we've been implementing it, we have met this goal and had almost 100% of our kids be able to advance into kindergarten successfully, for those that are in the pre-K program and the preschool program to go on into pre-K. Our children with special needs have been successfully maintained alongside their typically developing peers. We have been able to keep them there without needing to disenroll them from early childhood learning environments. So we're very pleased to have accomplished that. And then we've also been able to maintain our five-star rating. Our goal will be to continue to meet that quality as we move forward. So our senior center highlights, we have many long-term members who have been there. They see each other as a family. As a matter of fact, our oldest member is turning in June. She will be turning 103. She attends every day. She lives on her own. She has a family that is very supportive, checks in on her every day. But it's amazing to see her. She's well known in our community and well known to many people in Providence. Her name's Josephine. We're very, very proud of her. And she will tell you what a difference it has made in her life to be able to have something like the senior center to go to every day. We have relationships with a number of different organizations to come in and do health screenings for us, including blood pressure, flu shots. We have the URI pharmacy group that comes in and does work around and training around medications. Health insurers come in to help them understand their benefits. We have an exercise program that's supported through the city of Providence. We have a person that comes in and does exercises with our seniors twice a week. We have a lot of activities and games to help promote cognitive and thinking and memory. We provide a lot of support to our seniors around getting to their doctor's appointments, remembering about them, helping them get their transportation set up for that, and so on. And we also run chronic management of chronic disease workshops periodically, help in dealing with pain, help in dealing with chronic diseases such as diabetes, which many of our seniors have. And we also have a relationship with Food Fresh Rhode Island, which comes in and runs nutrition classes and helps the seniors learn about food preparation, how to manage it on a tight budget. And along with that, because we have the food pantry, we also supply food to our seniors for those who have need and have difficulty being able to pay for that. This past year, we also were very fortunate to be able to get a grant from the Charter Care Foundation to support a mental health therapist to come in to begin working with the seniors around promoting their mental health. As you know, seniors experience very high levels of depression and anxiety. And we've also certainly had an experience with seniors who have been faced with elder abuse. So we, unfortunately right now, we've had to put that program on hold while we're doing our distancing. And finally, we have lots of opportunities for socialization and building relationships. February, we had a whole celebration of Black History Month. It was great. One of our seniors actually marched in Selma with Martin Luther King. So it was a wonderful opportunity for them to be able to share with each other the various lives that they've led. Our goals for that is to continue to increase our membership at the senior center. You know, seniors, it's always important to continue to bring in new people. Some seniors, as they become more frail, they aren't able to continue attending. Certainly, we've had many seniors who have died over the years. So we're always trying to replenish the number of people coming in so that we have a vibrant center. Our goals are that at least 75% of the seniors will participate in the health and wellness activities that we run each month, and at least 80% of them will participate in our structured recreational activities. And another goal that we have is to continue to expand the number of organizations that we bring in to help support them. The challenges that we have are that, well, our facilities are owned by the City of Providence and the buildings are aging. Our senior center has several challenges, including some leaks and a mold problem and some flooring problems that are presenting hazards. So one of the grants that I submitted is for facility improvement for the senior center. At our early childhood program, we aren't in immediate need right now, but our roof is deteriorating and we do have periodic flooding because of foundation cracks. I would say that our most pressing challenge right now is the transportation that's provided to get our seniors to the senior center. Most of them are dependent on the company that is under contract with the state, known as, which is MTM. Problem is that the rides are inconsistent. They don't necessarily follow the schedule for the seniors to get there first thing in the morning and then be picked up for lunch. So sometimes seniors are limited to a very brief visit, just enough time to come in and get lunch. We continue to work with them. This is an ongoing issue that is being faced by all of the senior centers, and we have been working for 3 or 4 years with the previous company, with this year, to try to get this changed. We unfortunately, we don't see a lot of progress in that area. And then finally, the families that we serve have a lot of social service needs, and to be able to meet all of those continues to be a challenge. I've included in here the funding for both the early childhood program and our senior center program. I won't go over that, but it's there for you to be able to see and ask questions about. So I am done talking.
Well, congratulations on your anniversary, your 76th anniversary, and I know it's going to be even better in your 77th
We
year.
hope so.
So we're looking forward to the after. And also, it's a beautiful thing to hear that you have a 103-year-old participant. It's beautiful.
Yes.
I'm going to open it up right now for our council members to join this conversation. I know people definitely want to have a conversation with your organization. And I'm going to open it up right now for council people who want to join in. Pro Temp Correa.
Madam Chair, thank you. Susan, I believe we sat in a meeting maybe several months ago. Myself, Deputy Chief of Staff Mary Lee Dixon, Sue Robio, Joe Lazareski from the Mayor's office, and a volunteer from the center, as well as a new center director down at the Lillian Feinstein Senior Center, to discuss some issues that were going on there. For a while, the center was in jeopardy of being closed, I understand. And the volunteer that Janet, that worked next door at the Walgreens, came in and volunteered her time there to make sure that the place was open on a daily basis until a director was found to replace, I guess, the one that left there. Am I correct so far?
Well, we weren't in jeopardy of closing. We just had a transition between the previous manager who had to leave. She moved to Virginia rather abruptly. And so we had a gap until we were able to hire someone. And Janet, who is one of our seniors and also had been volunteering at the center for almost 2 years already, she continued on in that role while we found someone.
Okay, so continuing there, we continue to have the same problems that we spoke of, that the seniors are being, again, I guess it's no control of yours because of the bus transportation. They're being brought there at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then by 11:15, the van is back to pick them back up, and they didn't even get a chance to finish their lunch. Like, they're being forced to like devour the lunch and leave, which is very unacceptable. I don't know what we can do to correct that. I'm still being told that there's not services that are being offered there. Before the downstairs, I mean, when it first opened up in the neighborhood, that was a 5-star senior center. We had Roger Williams Hospital that utilized the downstairs, that offered all types of medical services to our seniors. When I stopped by there, and I've gone by there after our meeting again to see if things have improved, and they still complain that, you know, they still don't have a foot doctor that would come in, you know, and check their feet and their nails and a whole bunch of other stuff, the blood pressure and all that there. Janet was doing blood pressure things. She's not a certified nurse or a CNA. She shouldn't be doing somebody's blood pressure. I mean, you know, liability-wise. But again, I don't understand what the programs are being offered. You say that there's programs being offered and daily health and willingness and recreation activities.
Mhm.
These seniors are being forced out of there by noontime. They don't even have a chance to eat. So what programs are they engaging in?
So we run the programs, and there are some seniors that arrive. We have some seniors that drive themselves. We have some seniors that take a bus, and a couple of our seniors even bring in some of the other seniors. So we open our doors. We actually open it at 8:30, although we look at starting the official day at 9 o'clock. And we will run with the activities with whoever is there. We also don't let the drivers take the seniors before they eat, and lunch is served at noon. So the earliest we let them leave is 12:30. There have been a couple of occasions where a senior was worried that the bus driver wouldn't, or that the MTM driver wouldn't come back for them, and opted to leave at that point. But otherwise, we make the drivers leave and come back for them so that they're not missing their lunch.
All right. Well, they're being told that if they don't leave, that they're not going to have a ride back. So that's what's happening.
Right. And there have been many
they're really-
occasions where we've actually taken them home ourselves because they were so worried about it, or where they've just been left. The transportation company won't show up. And so we've had to transport them ourselves.
Another question is, in 2017, I understand that the funding for that Feinstein was cut. Why?
That was because I believe one of the councilwomen at that time thought that we had closed and that the funding was allocated to someone else. And when we found out, we corrected that, and the city then appropriated some other funds for us. But Emily, you can speak more clearly to that.
Yes, my recollection is that in, I think, 2017, during the budget process, there was a cut made, which did impact the center. And shortly after the budget process concluded, Susan immediately brought it to the attention of myself and council leadership that this was going to potentially really impact the operations of the center. And thankfully, the council office, I believe, stepped up and provided a council grant to prevent that closure.
Yeah. And then since that time, I think you'll also see in the budget numbers that I provided to you for the senior center, that we have obtained a federal grant, a Title 3B grant, that now supports the majority of the operations for our senior center.
Can you tell me what the exact budget is allocated for the Lillian Feinstein Senior Center?
Yes, it's there in the handout. It's about $75,000. And that's the Cdbg grant provides about $7,500, so about $7,500. The Title III C grant or B grant provides $37,500, and then we have a grant from the State Office of Healthy Aging for $12,000, and then some miscellaneous foundation grants. And then
So that's
the city council grant, the overall city council funding that we receive is also, a fair amount of that is applied to the senior center.
so that funding covers all your centers, correct?
The 75,000 covers just the senior center.
Just the senior centers or just the Lillian Feinstein Senior Center?
We just have the Lillian Feinstein Senior Center.
So if there's $75,000 operating budget there, why am I being told that they only have like $600 a month to offer programs such as arts and crafts or stuff like that there? And then when they need to go buy something, either the director now or Janet, they'll go and use their own money and buy this stuff. So why am I being told they only have a $600 operating budget? I brought this up in our meeting that we had downstairs there.
And as I said at that time, that's not correct. They have petty cash on hand at any point in time that they may run out of, but they get replenished with it and can always ask for additional money. Plus, they can order directly from suppliers for recreational activities. So the petty cash they have on hand at times to like go to Walgreens to buy something for when they play bingo for prizes or something. There's a monthly allocation for that, but they can order supplies out of our system at any point in time and have. So we have, they've never been turned down for anything they have ever asked for.
Okay, and one final question then that I have, where you have for the senior center improvements asking for $45,000.
Mm-hmm.
What are those improvements for in what facility?
In the Lillian Feinstein Senior Center on Chalkstone Avenue. There are soffits in the ceiling in our activity room that are leaking and have caused damage to the ceiling tiles and the area around the soffits. And also the leaks have caused warps in the floor. It's a large hardwood floor. And the hardwood floor has been, has not been refinished. Well, it must have been a very long time because there's no finish left on it and it's in pretty bad shape. So that needs to be refinished. And then we have the carpet in the entry and lobby area that has tears in it and pulls, which present a tripping hazard for the seniors. And then down in the lower level, there is mold along one area in the stairwell that we need to have remediated. You know, the wall will have to be cut away and repaired.
All right. Do we have any plans, or do you have any plans of working with, say, Brown University med students or something, to have them come in and work with the seniors, and like maybe we can try to like reutilize the lower level as it was when the center was first opened, where they offered all types of medical or assessments to our seniors?
So the Rhode Island, or the Roger Williams clinic that was down there just disappeared on us at one point. They used to send a doctor in fairly regularly, and then it was reduced to about once a week, and then they would just intermittently show up, and then all of a sudden they never showed up again. And I think they just found that they weren't getting other people that came there, and it wasn't cost effective for them. We would have no problem using that area for another doctor's office if there were someone that was interested in coming in. Right now it's used, that's the area that we do tax preparation in from January through the April. And then we also have job training that we do there for Providence residents. It's a program operated by Gateway Healthcare for re-entry into work. So there are people that are there taking training classes in that lower level from Monday, I think three days a week they're down there. So yes, that space is there and open for use. A few years ago, Mayor Tavares actually had a center that had to be closed for some reason. They used that area for a temporary location until they found another site. So we're happy to entertain any prospects that the city might be interested in for it.
All right, well, thank you, Susan, and I just want to let you know that I have my eyes on the Lillian Feinstein Senior Center, and as soon as we get over this pandemic and things get back to normal, I will be back down there to check with the seniors and the staff to make sure that, you guys are standing up to your obligations to our seniors down at the Lillian Feinstein Senior Center. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Certainly, you're welcome to visit anytime. And just to let you know, I really didn't talk about what's happening right now. Our seniors obviously are not coming in, but our manager is doing home visits to each of them once or twice a week. She takes boxed meals out to them. She will take food from our food pantry. The city of Providence, Sue Robio was able to obtain frozen meals for them. So our manager is going out and visiting them all the time. They're obviously very lonely. They're anxious. She's had several of them cry when she's been there because they're so distressed about being alone and isolated and want to be able to return. So that's going to be a tough one to be able to think about how do we bring them back, particularly given their physical frailties that put them at high risk. So, but we've been trying to think about some possibilities to how to do that.
Thank you. Is there any more questions from our Councilman Espinal?
Madam Chair, before Councilman Espinal begins, I just want to acknowledge that Council President Matos has joined the meeting.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
We need to take Councilman Espinal off the mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I
Yes,
can.
I can hear you now.
Thank you so much, and good evening, fellow council members and everyone in attendance. I'm impressed with the volume of work that is being done at this center, which leads me to the next question. What's the size of your staff? How many employees do you have, Susan?
For all of the programs that we run, we have 22 employees. There are 19 at the Early Childhood Center and 2 at the Senior Center and then one who runs our food pantry.
That's just great. So I congratulate you on running such a large operation. And then my next question is, it seems like you have a wonderful program. So we want to make sure that the seniors are there to take advantage of this. So how many seniors actually depend on the bus transportation?
How many seniors are what? Can you?
Depend on the bus, on the transportation.
I would say about 70% of them. So probably 25,
70%.
maybe, yeah, probably 25 of them.
And you're open from 9 to 3 p.m., I understand.
Yeah, our manager is there, and we have seniors who come in very early. We have one that does come in at about 8:30 every morning, and others that then get there when the bus arrives.
So it sounds like there's still some issues with the bus. Any attempts in making any arrangement with the buses? Because we really want to make sure that the seniors are out there and depend on the buses, that they're really taking advantage of the programs that are being offered to them, that they're not pressured.
I'm about to get a call.
To do anything because the bus is going to leave them behind.
Mhm.
Is there anything that can be done on that end, or if you need a help in doing that?
So we are on the phone all the time with them. All the seniors have banded together. There have been statewide meetings with the transportation company. I'll tell you the place where we get the most help is Senator Whitehouse's office. And he has been working diligently for 2 to 3 years to intervene on this issue. It's very challenging, and there are some limitations within the guidelines that fund this program that the transportation company is operating under, and they don't feel that they are required to provide transportation for senior center programs except to get them to a meal site, just to get them for the meal. So there's a lot of contentious disagreement around what the requirements are for the transportation. But yes, we have worked long and hard for this. It's not just a problem with the senior centers. Seniors have problems getting to their doctor's visits. They may have to go 2 hours early in order to get there on time, or they may have to wait following the doctor's appointment to be picked up for 2 hours because of the
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same company.
I read about that.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's something that needs to be addressed, and also that it might be beyond your capacity at the senior center.
Certainly beyond our individual
they need-
capacity, yes.
So like it needs to be further investigated. All right, well, thank you so much. And again, I congratulate you on running such a large operation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there any
Madam
more?
Chair.
Yes,
Madam
sir.
Chair, Councilman Narducci, if I
Councilman.
may.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. This bus situation is a statewide issue. Ever since they switched from RIDE, the state, to this MTM to quote unquote save money. We have Hagen Manor here in my area, and again, like Susan was just saying, there's times where people are waiting outside at 9 o'clock in the morning to be picked up for an 11 o'clock doctor's appointment and don't return back to the manor till like 3:30. It's a shame what our seniors are going through, and I know the governor's office is aware of the problem. And I think what we need to do, I agree with Councilman Espinel, is we need to look into this situation for all of our seniors. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'll just offer another perspective on that. Our senior center manager spends a significant amount of her time trying to fix transportation issues, and often it's around getting the transportation set up for seniors to get to doctor's appointments. If you can imagine being a senior and trying to navigate the tough situation to get the ride scheduled. So we're often scheduling their rides for them. So that's a lot of the kind of support that we're able to give them.
Thank you, Susan. Seems like you're doing the best you can under the circumstances. I do agree with my colleagues. There should be something that we should be intervening and trying to find a way to also assist you with this. It seems like, it's very serious,
Mhm.
not being able to have the transportation to go to such a great place to enjoy yourself. I have a question about the early childhood learning. I
Mhm.
know at this time we are doing, our schools are doing a lot of remote
Mhm.
learning. And tell me a little about what's happening as far as what type of teaching method are you
Mhm.
doing to keep our 3 to 5 year olds engaged in. I know the governor talked about reading.
Mhm.
That's very, very
Yeah.
skillful. So share with us, Susan, what you guys are doing.
Sure. So as a pre-K program, particularly the classrooms that we have that are pre-K, we're part of the education system and we're doing distance learning. And so our preschool programs are incorporated into that. Our teachers we use a platform, we're using the Facebook platform because our families were already connected into us with that. We have private family groups that are associated with our Facebook page. And our teachers are going on and they are posting activities for kids that they'll have them gather certain household items together and then bring them to a session where they'll do an online session with them to do a science activity or a math activity. They will do videos reading stories. So they're doing the same kind of online learning that our family or the public schools are doing with elementary and high school. So certainly when you're working with younger children, as young as they are, attention spans are shorter. So online learning tends to take place in very short periods of time but more frequent.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. So there seemed to be a problem, district wide with Wi-Fi and some kids not even having the availability to have, the equipment, the
Mhm.
computers to be able to have Facebook. Do you have a lot of those gaps in your?
No, we don't, because they're really using their mobile phones. We're not, because they're not having to type and do things on a computer. A mobile phone has been sufficient for the kinds of activities that we do. And so for the most part, we have a pretty good participation rate. It's not every day, every kid, but they're all logging in and spending some time online each week.
In the aftermath, do you see yourself or your organization really taking um, like the most of us are anticipating a lot of folks going to need a lot of help. Do you see your organization in that role? With
Financial?
so many, beyond
Or,
financial, I think there's a lot of other things that you have mentioned. I think there's a lot of great things that's going on in the organization. You said with mental health and so
well,
on,
that
exercising.
certainly the mental health needs of both our seniors and the young children is very important. I talked a little bit about the Kids Connect program that we have. I may not have named it, but it's the program for embedding the children with special needs in our classrooms. Most of those children are there because of behavioral health needs. And so we're supporting those kids. We're continuing to support those kids. We are fortunate in that the DHS has authorized our being able to do some telehealth with the families for those kids and be able to bill for it to their Medicaid plans. So we're continuing to outreach to those families to try to help them with what's happening at home with their children now.
Thank you so much, Susan.
Mhm.
Is there any other questions from my council members? If there's no more questions, we really appreciate the work you've done and thank you for coming this afternoon in this manner of virtual conference, just to let us know what's going on in your organization. We appreciate it.
Thank you very
Thank you so
much.
much. Hopefully we'll get a chance to even visit over there at one point after all said and done.
Anytime.
Thank
Anytime.
you. Thank you so much. At this time, we will hear from Development, Communities for People. If we're ready, Sean.
Go right ahead.
Madam Clerk, could you please help me again pronounce Sarah's last name? Thank you.
Sadugi.
Thank you.
Sure.
I didn't want to chop it up. I really
Oh,
didn't
that's
want
all
to.
right. I'm used to it.
You used to it? Good. Okay. Because I will. Thank you. Thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
I want to introduce Craig, our Chief
Please do.
Officer, and Eric Gaborio, our Regional Director in Rhode Island. I know time is of the essence here, so it's my understanding you wanted more information about the 81 Washington submission that we submitted. We had 2 other submissions as well. We're prepared to talk about those as well if you'd like, but I believe the focus was on that one. Am I correct about that?
And whatever else you want to share with us as well.
Great. I'm going to turn it over to Craig, who will let you know a little bit more about our agency.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Well, first, I really want to thank Emily Friedman, and I want to thank Chairwoman Harris for just giving us the chance. This is our very first presentation to this committee, and it's our very first chance really at solicitation for some Cdbg monies. What you'll hear about us is it's very much almost on the other side of the spectrum than you just heard from Susan Stephenson. Our Communities for People really works predominantly with young kids, and particularly our focus is teenagers. We've been in Rhode Island for about 40 years. It's actually a Boston-based organization, still is in Boston. Here in Rhode Island, 1980, we started running some group home programs, and we still run them to this day. We actually have 5 locations for group homes in the city. We have one on the east side on Hope Street. We have 2 right off of Atwells Avenue. Our office in Rhode Island is on Atwells Avenue. We have one outside of PC. We have one in Olneyville. We have 2 in the West End. So, I'm sorry, Washington Park. So, we've been a part of the city for many, many years. And when I had a chance to meet with Emily earlier in the year, she actually said we're one of Providence's best kept secrets. In addition to the residential programs, we actually run independent living programs as well. Just to give you a sense of numbers, the 5 group homes all have about 8 kids. So there's about 40 kids at any given time when we're full. Predominantly, lots of them are Providence, kids from Providence families. Our independent living programs are in Providence as well as other communities throughout the state. We have about 25 kids who are older kids getting ready to leave state care. I should have started off saying most of these programs are all funded by DCYF. We have a large foster care program with 40-something kids, this about 25 kids or so in foster care. And we have 2 different family preservation programs where we're trying to keep families together so kids don't have to leave home and go into either foster care or group care or what have you. The proposal, so we've proposed actually 3 different proposals for you. One, the most serious, significant one, is a request to renovate one of our homes. We bought the house probably about 14, 15 years ago, and our state funds certainly keep up maintenance, if you will, but 15 years of teenagers, a lot of wear and tear. We once thought about turning our house over for not home improvement, one of the shows about like worst home and home makeovers kind of thing. Our kitchen is really very dated and damaged. We also are asking to renovate an upstairs attic space that to be used for a recreation area and also be able to do therapy there, as well as some other replacing a garage door for an open garage that's on the property. Let me kind of turn it over to Eric Gaborio, who's our regional director. Well, actually, any questions that anybody wants to ask about the organization, I would be pleased to handle, and then Eric can go into exactly what the request for 81 Washington is. All right, Eric. Oh. Okay, I guess there you go. Eric, do you want to talk about the house?
Well, so 81 Washington. So as Craig had said, it's licensed, so it has the capacity for up to 8 boys. And it's one of the programs for our older youth. So these youth are 16 to 21 years old. What the program, and I think Sarah had sent a lot of this information over, but the program really is geared towards some of the higher end youth. So these are youth who are in and out of the hospital. So we have the youth who are self-injurious, youth who have come from out-of-state residential treatment facilities, and the Rhode Island Training School. And as Craig had mentioned, the house is in disrepair. I mean, the kitchen itself is severely outdated. And space is always an issue. So you talk about 8 teenage boys. The house is fairly large, but when you put 8 teenage boys and 3 staff into one space, unless you have east wings and west wings, it can get very crowded in there. So we do have some unused space. So one would be the attic space, which is unfinished. That's currently not being used, that we talked about making it into a rec area for the youth to be able to kind of use, put a foosball table up there, put some couches up there, more of like a leisure space for the youth. Also something where they can have their family visits. Right now, there is not a lot of privacy in the house. So to have a space where families can come on site, meet with their kids, and be separated from the rest of the house is, feel is very crucial. The other thing that we do not have the availability to use is we do not have a designated therapy space. So right now, if the clinician is on site meeting with the youth or doing family counseling, it happens in the staff office. And as you can imagine, the staff office is a very busy place. Staff have to kind of come in to give medication. They need to do paperwork. So, I mean, it's very hard to have an hour where people are not coming and going inside of that office. So we really wanted to make a space that was conducive to therapy, where the kids could sit and relax and not have people kind of knocking on the door and coming in and out. You can imagine that would be pretty disruptive. The last piece, as Craig had said, so it's we have an outdoor detached garage that is a bit of an eyesore. One of the things that, you know, as far as our residential programs, they are all community-based, which means if you drive by, you don't say there's a group home. You drive by and you would say there's just another house in the community. And that's what we strive for. We strive for the houses to not look like group homes, inside and outside. So this garage is just kind of an open garage. Major renovation would be to kind of add a garage door to it. It would also give us a place to safely store the van, which does every so often come into some damage sitting out at the front of the house. And with all this is to help give the youth, who are typically there anywhere from 3 months to 9 months, sometimes longer, depending on what their plans are, some pride in where they live. We've seen when the youth have pride in where they live, they're less likely to damage the inside of the house. They're less likely to go AWOL, to run from programs. And they're more likely to kind of complete and achieve their treatment goals. And that is the gist of that program and what we're asking for 81 Washington.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Yes, Vice Chairman Narducci.
Thank you. Madam Chair, what I would ask is if we could have the organization send us a list of the properties. So maybe we could, if any of us that are interested in taking a ride by and, seeing them for ourselves, we can do that. So if they can send a list to the clerk and have the clerk distribute it to the members.
Absolutely.
Would you be able to do that?
Absolutely.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And hopefully you'll see that they're, just as Eric pointed out, they're like normal homes, and you'd say, oh, okay, that looks like anybody else's house. So.
Do you also have girls in the program?
We do. We do. Obviously not in the same house.
No, that's exactly right. I said a girl house.
We
Got a
do,
girl
yeah.
house, right?
Yep. So if you look at our residential programs, the age ranges across the board are anywhere from 13 to 21. And we do have right now 2 sites that are primarily for adolescent girls. One of the sites is for girls younger, 13 to 17. And then one of the sites is for older adolescents, 16 to 21. And it's actually the same population as the 81 Washington site. So this is, again, is a higher end program for, again, youth who are in and out of the hospital, in and out of the psych hospital, have severe mental health issues, severe trauma histories.
I was going to ask you, how do you come about these young people? How do they come into your program? Is it, I was thinking maybe only do DHS, but it's more than that too. They come through other channels, right?
So all of our residential youth come through DCYF.
DCYF, okay. And these, you said the program, according to your paper, your sheet that you provided, that the program could be to 6 to 9 months.
That's the typical age. That's the where we hope. So it really does depend on what the goals are and what the availability of the youth's next step. So ideally we want all these youth to go with family. If it's not their biological family, it's a family setting of some type, foster care, kin, or back to their biological families. And the other piece is the next level would be if they can't go home, or they can't go to a family setting for any reason, then the next level up would be the independent living program. This is where youth are 17 to 21 and they're in their own apartments. And when I say they're in their own apartments, of the 25 kids that we have, most of them live in their own places and their name is on the lease. So it's not a community of people apartment, it's their apartment. We help with the rent and we help with bills and we provide case management. But when they close out from us, they turn 21 or they're 19 and they end up closing, they get to stay in those apartments. So there's no disruption once they leave us, which has been, so they don't have to move, find another apartment and start all over again. They get to close out from DCYF and already have a place to live.
And Councilwoman Harris, I'll just throw in one other piece. We've been doing this for many, many, many years. And I actually come from the days when a kid lived in a group home for a year and a half. And we as an industry, as a group, and as a state, didn't do a particularly great job helping kids get back to their natural connections. Nowadays, 6 to 9 months is about an average length of stay. And that's really very good.
Mm-hmm. And it really used to be, some of the kids were there for 2, 3, from 17 to 21. Not necessarily in our houses, but you had kids that were there for a very long time.
Okay. And right now, how many rooms are in each of these units?
So they vary. So for the 81 Washington site, we have 5 bedrooms. So we have the availability to have one youth in their own room. It's a downstairs bedroom. If there are any kind of safety issues, where a youth needs to be in their own room. We do have the availability for one. And the sites really vary. I mean, we have one building that's a 3-story tenement that has 3 bedrooms on each floor. Our Hope Street house is our biggest site. It's a 3-story Victorian, 380 Hope Street. And that, even then, most of the youth have to share rooms just out of space necessities.
Okay.
But typically you're gonna have 2 kids to 1 room. And again, the houses are set up, they don't, there's no cooks, there's no kitchen areas. I mean, it really is the living room, a dining room, a kitchen. The upstairs is where the bathrooms and the bedrooms are. It does not have the feel, and we do our very best to make sure it does not have that feel of a group home. Youth get to decorate their own rooms, put their own stuff up. Sometimes it's not the most appropriate, so we have to help them make better choices in what they put up there. But we try to allow them to make it their own space, even if they're only going to be there for a short time. Try to make it as home-like. It's not their home. We tell them we don't want this to be your home because we want you to find a home you can stay in, but we want it to be as home-like as possible.
So 81 Washington is the only one that is of that dire condition?
We also did submit for our Manton property, and that also did require some improvements. Eric can talk a little bit more about that property as well.
Yeah. So the Manton property is a kind of a special house. So it's not so the ILP program, independent living, again, the youth are primarily in their own apartments. We found that a lot of kids were stuck in the residential programs because, they weren't necessarily at a level they needed to be in residential, but they weren't necessarily ready to be in their own apartments. So you can imagine there's a large population of youth who are just kind of stuck in between, because moving to your own place after you've been in a residential programming for many years can be a little scary for some of the kids. So a few years back, we had worked with DCYF to make a kind of in between residential setting, which is for the youth who don't need to be supervised 24 hours a day. All of our residential programs is 24-hour staffing. This program, the youth, 2 to 3 youth live in a house on Manton Avenue, and we have a staff person who's there from 4 p.m. to midnight every day. And that staff person's there to give extra support, extra guidance, and have a consistent person there during those evening hours, just to ensure that things are running a little more smoothly. These youth need a little more help finding jobs, finishing their education plans, and they're not as far along as far as independent living skills. So they need more help with shopping, doing budget plans, learning how to take the bus, things like that.
How many staff members do you have?
In the agency or in the residential programs?
Residential, to assist the youth with all of these different needs.
About 65 or so. The agency in Rhode Island's workforce is about 125 staff altogether. And in those group home programs, it's a little over 60.
How long you say you've been around?
More than a week. I had hair, but we came to Rhode Island in 1980. I actually helped start the programs in 1980. So 41 years.
41 years.
Well,
the
the
agency is
over 45 years old, 1970.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't, yep, exactly.
So you're not a teenager anymore, that's for
Not
sure.
anymore. Thank you. I can't even add. So we'll check that budget.
Is there any questions from
Madam Chair, if I may.
Vice Chairman Nantucci?
Thank you. Just a question. What type of other funding do you guys receive to be as successful as it sounds like? Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for that compliment. And the answer is very, very little. Sarah Sadugi, who submitted the request before you, is our sole development person. And we actually have her do other things too. So we do a couple of fundraisers per year. We have our annual appeals and drives, but we really need to become more astute at grant writing, solicitations, private foundations. This year, we actually did get a $10,000 grant from the Rhode Island Foundation, and we actually received a $25,000 grant for a mentoring program from the East Providence Police. That's about the extent. Other than that, it's DCYF state funding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Espinal.
Yes, good evening once again. I want to go back to 81 Washington. Is that the only property you have in Washington Park? I believe you mentioned you had two.
We have two. The second one is also on Washington Avenue further up. It's 266, Eric?
244.
244, thank you.
Right, I'm very familiar with that area, so I just want to add that you will never know that it's a group home. I'm around there all the time.
We take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
You should, because I live in Massachusetts, so I'm not far from it. And I can only admire the work you do, because it does not look like a group home. You don't operate like a group home, and it's really something to see.
And again, I'll apologize. It's our first presentation to this committee. We actually have some very solid outcome statistics. We do a very good job of helping kids get back home. We can also, when we provide the list of addresses, I'll also try to make sure that we give you like our past year's outcomes.
We appreciate that, Craig, very much. Thank you.
Sure.
Is there any other?
Madam Chair, if I may?
Councilman Pro Temp Carrere.
Yeah, if I can just echo the words of Councilman Espinal. I'm familiar with the location in my ward on Manton Avenue. And again, you could not tell that this was a group home being operated as a group home. The property is always well maintained, no issues from the participants there in the program, and no complaints whatsoever from the abutting neighbors. So you're doing something right. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll just close saying we have built a very solid relationship over the years with DCYF, you know, our state partner. We really are hoping to deepen our relationship with the city. Most of the families that we're working with are city residents. Most of our staff work in the city. So we have many ideas that will also be coming back to folks here to try to really improve things for everybody.
Any more questions?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
If I may, Madam Chair, I just didn't want to leave without complimenting the background picture of the bridge.
I was going to do the same thing. Yeah.
Well, I will say I want to thank the committee for giving me an excuse to wear a tie. I know we've all been on so many Zoom meetings. I changed my background however long, and I say it's COVID competent. So I'm really in a hot air balloon well above the Golden Gate Bridge. So thank you. Thank you.
As you know, we really admire your work. It was just looking at some of the proposal. We was impressed with the work that was put before us. There have been some stories out there, and we wanted to make sure everything is okay. Is everything okay?
Everything is great. So I really appreciate the effort and the question as well.
Thank you. Well, one of the things we are very, of course, the Cdbg have been over the years smaller and smaller, and we would very much love to do as much as we can, but we will talk as a committee and try to figure out exactly how we can
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. If there is no other business before this committee, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
To adjourn, can you
to
continue?
the item.
Oh, there is another item.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, what is the other item?
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to continue with this matter.
Continue this matter?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
The matter have been, a motion have been made to continue this matter, and there's a second by Councilman Espinal. All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes, any opposed? The ayes have it. With that being said, I like,
Madam Chair,
yes, sir, Viceman.
if hearing no other business at this time, I would like to thank the committee and motion to adjourn.
Thank you so very much. What a great way to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We need a second.
Is there a second? All right, second by Pro Temp Correa. Motion made by Councilman Vice Chair Narducci. All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you
Aye.
so much, and sending you
Thank
all
you.
a virtual hug.